Hi, this is Enamour, and you're watching How I Play on DJ Tech Tools. So the way I play at home is pretty much identical to the way I play on tour. I've got 4 CDJs and a Xone 96. I've also got an Eventide H9 pedal that I bring with me to all my gigs and use at home. And then that's controlled by this iPad. So the iPad basically lets you switch between all the different effects that the Eventide contains, and it contains like 60 or 70 or something ridiculous. And it lets you switch between those. It lets you create presets and then modulate all the parameters from the iPad over Bluetooth. I bring these with me because this mixer doesn't have effects. This is a way to not only provide like the regular effects that I would use, like reverbs and delays, but there's a ton of creative options that are truly only available on this piece of equipment. It's a guitar pedal technically, so a lot of it is not really made for full songs, and that almost opens more possibilities for creative sound design opportunities, and it just lets you put your spin and almost remix tracks live using all the different effects that it offers. I use this mixer mostly because it has 4 EQ bands. It also is a higher quality sound, in my opinion. It's fully analog. The signal is just cleaner throughout, especially when you're doing filtering and EQing and modifying it a little bit. It can also handle distortion better. Just generally, big fan of Allen & Heath mixers. And I need the send and return and all the different EQs and the filtering on the send and return to be able to operate this pedal properly. So let's talk about some of the cool effects that the Eventide H9 can do. You know, there's reverb, delay, there's all these common things that the Pioneer mixer has, your standard DJ effects, but I've created a couple presets here that I wanted to show you guys that keep the songs that I'm playing interesting as I, transition between them, and I try to make sure that there's no dead space where someone wouldn't have something to focus on, especially now that we're DJing over the internet and streaming to people. That gives you a challenge and an opportunity of being able to generally make each song more interesting on your own using all the processing and all the effects that this pedal allows for. So first, I'll demonstrate a quick delay setting that I have. I call it my loco delay. It is a really short speed delay so that as you bring it in from somewhere between 100 and 300 milliseconds down to 0 milliseconds, it creates a really cool glitchy effect. So I'll just demo that right here. Yeah, so pretty straightforward, but this is the kind of effect that I was talking about where if I'm going from one intro and one outro to another intro and I'm trying to spice it up a little bit and there's really just drums, it allows me to add that little bit of texture and a little bit of interest that not only is going to keep someone interested, but it has cool stereo effects, which people are often listening on headphones in the streaming era. So it just spices it up a little bit. Now I'm going to show you guys one of the other delays called tape echo. It emulates an old analog style tape echo where as you change the delay times, the pitch changes as well and it gives like a warbling effect. I like to really use this on acapellas or if there's like a specific sound in a track. So here I'll just have a beat going with this acapella.
The easiest way.
Some Alan Watts. And if I send the acapella to the tape echo, it'll sound like this.
The easiest way to get begin by listening.
And I'm going to exaggerate it a little bit.
Close your eyes and allow yourself to hear all the sounds that are going on around you. Just listen to the general hum and buzz of the world, as if you were listening to music.
Yeah, so as you can see, it can get pretty wacky, but something you can see here, which is another cool part about using the pedal in a send-return situation, is that even when the original signal is down, because this pre-fader button is selected, it's actually sending the audio to the effect pedal, whether or not it's being output in the mixer. So this lets you do cool things like having just the delay in the song instead of the actual acapella itself. And then I had this crazy feedback tail, and I can just kind of do whatever I want with that, whether or not the thing is playing. So here, I'm actually using a pitch shifting effect. It's actually an additive pitch effect. So you pick the key of the song, we're working in A flat minor, and then you can do the two different pitches from whatever the source material is. So I'm going to take, let's say, plus 5 and the octave, and then you can delay that. We'll actually sync it to the beat. Okay, so I'm going to play this, and you'll hear that there's this one little synth sound that keeps popping up. It's just one note, and then I'm going to add in the pitch shifting, so it's going to create, delays of that note at different pitches. Something you got to be careful about is what exactly you're sending to it and how you're affecting that. So normally, in headphones during a set, I would be doing this, where I monitor just the send. I can get rid of the lows, get rid of the highs, and just try to isolate that one tone. And I'll actually loop it for now. So if I turn the effect off, we've got it isolated here. I could even send just the send or just the return channel to this bandpass filter to really isolate just that little bit. And I would be doing all this in headphones normally. Now, if I turn the effect on, it's giving that pitch effect. So now I can mix that back in. Make sure we're on time. Cool, so that whole time, this was just looped on a 4-bar section, so everything else changing you heard was all that effect. Once again, probably overdoing it. I'm just trying to demonstrate it. Anytime I have a cool sound that I can isolate from a song, if I can pitch it around in key, that's pretty much remixing on the fly, and I don't really know any other way to get that kind of involvement with just CDJs in a mixer. So I really like doing that. It helps me keep other people's music fresh in my sets. So if I want to keep playing this for like a whole year because I love it, I want to be able to spice it up. So, someone sees me twice in a couple months, it's like a whole new experience for them. And I think that's just one of those Easter eggs that people really appreciate. This next effect is pretty unique to the Eventide H9. It is a formant filtering effect. It's there's no other way to explain it really. It just makes vowel sounds out of the source material using a lot of different bandpass filters. The controls I have here pretty much can control the beginning vowel sound and the end vowel sound, and then the speed at which it's modulating and the resonance. So you'll be able to hear as I go forward. So I'm going to just set this on a 4-bar loop for now. It's a pretty, techie sound. There's not a ton going on, so this is a way to keep it more interesting. So that's just the effect. So now I'm going to let the loop go through the breakdown and just kind of show how I might use it in practice in a set. So you can hear there's a lot of changes going on. And here I'm just changing the speed of how much the pitch is going up and down. Yeah, so that's a fun one. It's super unique for me personally as someone who listens really careful to other people's sets and just pays attention to these little ear candy things. It can be a lot of fun when you get those reactions where someone's like, what the hell was that? Like, did you remix that track? And it's like, well, yes, but live. So I just take a lot of the same techniques from my productions, put them into the Eventide, and then I can change these songs on the fly. This next effect is called Shimmer. It's one of Eventide's more popular effects. It basically reverbs out the signal and then adds layers of pitch on top of it. So it gives you this nice angelic, chorusy reverb effect. It's pretty well known in a lot of production, but I use it for DJing to either enhance a melodic layer that I'm adding into a song, or sometimes I'll use it in a breakdown to fill it out. Here, I'm actually going to show how I can use it to tease an idea in a totally different way and then bring in the real thing. So because these auxiliary channels can go pre-fader, I'm actually going to send this melodic little thing, send it to Shimmer, and I'm going to bring in Shimmer with the beat before I actually bring this in. So it's a very minimal track. And I'll even loop it just so nothing really changes. So we've got an 8-bar loop here. I'll start this. And I'm just bringing in that pitched reverb tail. I can change it to higher octave. I can change it to a lower octave. Anything in between. And I'll put this on an 8-bar loop as well. I can fade it down. So it's a way to tease the idea in just a creative way before you actually bring it in. Now, I've got both of these on 8-bar loops, so nothing's going to be changing. And I can just show you what else is possible. So I'm going to change the pitch. So we've got an octave, and then we've got +5. Actually, let's do +7. So we got the fifth and the octave. Now, if I isolate, so I would normally be doing this in headphones, but I could isolate just the shimmer. I could send it to a bandpass filter with a lot of resonance. I could turn this crunch knob up, which is basically just distortion. And just get a cool texture that I can later use on in the song. Something like that, where you're just taking one sound, doing a bunch of stuff to it, creating something new, and then feeding that back into the mix. This thing also has a lot of effects that can emulate what we're used to with the Pioneer effects. Some of these presets I had to make myself and fine tune until it got me where I wanted, but rather than use the white noise or the space effect on Pioneer, I really like using one of the black hole reverbs, which is another effect that Eventide is famous for. I really like using that black hole reverb to create that noise wash, but instead of using generic white noise that's always too loud, this basically reverbs the signal in a way that accentuates the high frequencies. So it gives you this much more natural sounding noise effect that serves the same purpose for transitional sweeps, I guess. Another thing, similarly, it has plenty of regular reverbs, every setting you could ever imagine, but I really like this pan reverb. It's really cool if you're wearing headphones. It's even cooler in the club if it's tuned properly and you can actually hear the sounds shifting from left to right. So I'll make it very extreme. You can go really fast, get like a gated effect almost, or really slow. And then we can accentuate the mid-range instead of the highs. So a lot of cool options for transitional effects. Really, the world is your oyster when you're working with this effects pedal. It has every single Eventide effect ever created, I'm pretty sure, in this one box, all controlled by the iPad. So I spent a ton of time building these presets, but I could easily spend, a whole year just trying to create new effects with this thing. It really is that powerful. Another component to doing all this extra stuff during the in-between moments, like the intros and outros of songs, I'm in a unique position where I actually can hear everything that's going on. And usually in a club, it's a little bit tougher to monitor, especially when you're dealing with effects and all these other levels. But because I'm at home and I can get really granular with it, I figure why not, give everyone a more unique experience because they're probably listening on headphones as well.